What's up, everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and we are about to have some regular season League of Legends. Everything kicks off tonight in the LPL. We've got two matches, so obviously the DraftKings contests aren't very interesting. We have a $15 contest, which is going to be the main contest people play. The problem with this kind of contest is that there are 4,000 entries, and you can make a 120 multi-entry. And the reason why this is a problem, and I think that there were a decent amount of people complaining about this on Twitter. The reason why this kind of thing is a problem is because since you have two matches, there's already a limited number of combinations of the players that you can run out there into lineups, and making the multi-entry cap 117 means that a lot of these people who just do gigantic mass multi-enter strategy are going to be able to cover a lot of the bases. So even though each individual MME player doesn't have an unfair advantage, that group of players is playing a different game from the rest of the people. So personally, I've talked about this in the past. I don't play 100 lineups anymore. I've done it occasionally, and I did it for maybe not 100, but I played a lot of entries in 2020, and I did that sometimes in 2021. But it's just not really what I enjoy about DraftKings, and it's not the kind of game that I play. So I look for ways to differentiate myself by trying to get a unique lineup, and a lot of the times I'll finish top 10, top 20. And I'll make a little bit of money, but I'm really just here for the bink every once in a while. That's kind of why I play DraftKings, and to make the content for everybody else. So that's the kind of contest we have tonight. It's 10K to first. It's going to incentivize a decent amount of people to play it, but we'll see how many people actually end up playing it. So on Twitter, Mr. Malmanger put out the rosters as well, the posters. I'm only going through the rosters in this, but if you want to check out the posters, there are some cool posters. The Chinese teams do this all the time. So the first match that we have is going to be OMG against ThunderTalk, and we automatically get a slight deviation from the expected rosters. So for OMG, the one that I saw originally had Mikuya as the starting top laner, and I don't know a lot about Shanji, but I feel like I know enough about Mikuya to know that this is something that I like to see, because I'd rather have them taking a risk on a younger player. I don't know how old Mikuya is, but I would rather see them bring in new players to try to make something happen, to bring new life to the team, because you can always run out somebody like New, who is a quote unquote experienced player. But it's not necessarily going to help your winning chances very much. New did have some okay performances last year, but it's just not the same. It's not the same top end talent that you'll see around the LPL. So let's just go through the rest of the OMG roster first. So we have Shanji, Aki, Kareem, Abel, and Cold. So I haven't made my global rankings video yet, but the season-long odds for OMG to win the title are plus 5,000, and OMG is interesting to me because I think that they do have a player with a lot of potential in Kareem. I think that Kareem has the upside of being an elite mid laner in the world, and that's based off of a handful of performances from last year. It doesn't mean that it's going to turn into anything, but it at least was encouraging to see. I always make the comment about Aki, having crazy eyes or whatever. So I actually looked it up earlier, and these are some of the pictures that we've had of him in the past, and this is the one that I remember. And it's not as crazy as I remember, but those still look like dead, lifeless eyes. Look at the rest of these pictures. He looks like a completely normal guy. In this one, he just looks a little bit more disheveled, and his eyes look like they're lifeless, and that he's been through some stuff. But I think that OMG is an okay team, not a great team, not a horrible team, and I don't think there's much of a difference between them and ThunderTalk outside of knowing that Kareem has good upside. But if you look at the rest of the spots in this matchup, New is more of a known quantity, so I wouldn't be shocked if OMG in the first match of the year, runs out generic team compositions, and you don't get a big advantage for Shanji in the top lane, and then you have like new potentially just get to the mid and late game on like a Renekton or a Gnar or something like that and be completely fine, and it looks like a much closer game than what's anticipated. And the reason why that's important is because the line for this game is plus 276 for Thunder Talk. So obviously when you get a dog that's that big, they're 27% implied win rate. That's probably too low. OMG has some exciting players, mostly Cream, but that just seems like a crazy line to me, just a little extreme. I wanted to get one thing from Thunder Talk. I want to see what's up with Frigid, because I know that their mid laner is someone who a lot of people liked, and it's actually weird. He's a lot older than I thought he was going to be. So Captain came over from IG's academy team, and there was a decent amount of hype around him because like he was basically just trapped behind Rookie, right? So, Aki and Frigid. Frigid's a new player. I don't know much about them. I don't think that Aki's gonna like dominate this matchup a majority of the time. So again, I kind of like taking a shot on the underdog, and on DraftKings you're gonna get them at reduced ownership. Then we have Cream and Captain. I think that I do think that Cream is the better side of this, but I wouldn't be shocked if Captain kind of held his own because he does have that pedigree where people kind of trust him to play well. And then we have Puff and Southwind up against Abel and Cold. I think that if you swapped Puff and Southwind onto back to Invictus Gaming, and you had this matchup, people would kind of assume that Puff and Southwind are just better than Abel and Cold. In reality, I think it's much closer. But now that they're listed as underdogs, I think that people just have a larger negative opinion than they should about them, because they did leave a team that had a lot of struggles in the bot lane last year, which ultimately left in like the whole team getting blown up basically. But in this matchup, I think that the thing that you're going to be looking for in this matchup is your secondary stack, because FPX and RNG should just be a more volatile series with more kills overall. So if I had to pick between Cream and Abel, I'd probably pick Cream. So maybe you're looking for double like a mid captain lineup, or you could like play Cream instead of Gory if you're running an FPX. Like an FPX lineup with LWX as your captain, like that might be interesting. But if I was just looking to bet this, and I have difficulties with sports books because Bet365 is the one that I was planning on using this year, and they're not releasing like any lines for New Jersey because there's like regulations that they don't. There's regulations that New Jersey imposes that forces them to like not post League of Legends content, and that's like the main sports book that I trust. DraftKings doesn't have anything in New Jersey, so any recommendations for sports books would be appreciated. Like I've been looking at Pinnacle, but again, Pinnacle I can't use, so I'd probably have to do something that's potentially illegal and like open an account in Europe again, which I never really liked because I just don't trust people with my money. But that's if I was betting on this matchup, I would probably take a bet on Thunder Talk, because the line shouldn't be the line shouldn't imply a win rate of 78% for OMG and 27% for Thunder Talk. So there is some value on Thunder Talk. If you're just looking for value, I think that's one that I might take a shot on. And you only need to win 27% of the time to break even on that. So that's one I'm definitely considering if I have access to a sports book. Next up, let's go to RNG and FPX. So we have Xiaolahu, Beishuan, Gory, LWX, and Hong, and then we have Bin, Wei, Xiaohu, Gala, and Ming. So immediately, the one thing that kind of jumps off the screen is that it's minus 225 to plus 170, and the reason something like that happens is because Nuguri is gone, Tian is gone, Duanbi is gone, and Crisp is gone. So you have 4 players leaving FPX. Then you kind of have to determine how big of a gap is there between somebody like Nuguri and Xiaolahu. So in that position specifically, Xiaolahu had some good performances last year. And the thing about Nuguri is that they are one of the better top laners in the world. They are an elite top laner. But stylistically, I could see a scenario where they go from somebody like Nuguri to Xiaolahu, and it's not a huge drop-off in terms of what they bring to the table. It's just they're going to bring different things to the table. So I don't necessarily think it's a huge problem. Xiaolahu is definitely good enough to compete with somebody like Bin, but I do think that Bin is just a better player overall. Then in the jungle, going from Tian to Beishuan, I don't know much about Beishuan, but Tian has not been himself the past year or so. Wei is most likely better than Beishuan, but I don't think that the gap is something that should result in minus 225 to plus 170. In the mid lane, we have Xiaohu against Gory. I think that Xiaohu is obviously the better player. Gory has had some hype surrounding him in the past and has never been like a consistent starter for a good team. So that's going to cause people to not know who they are and have some doubt and just like make it lean even further into RNG's direction. And then we have Gala and Ming against LWX and Hong. I'm not a huge Gala fan, but I think that Gala and Ming are just as good, if not better, most likely better than LWX and Hong. So I don't know. I don't know what we can really expect from FPX this year. I think that it'll be better than what most people think, but this is a tough matchup for FPX in the form of RNG because Bin is an extremely good top laner. Wei is a solid jungler, definitely better than league average in the LPL. Xiaohu is an elite player, period, regardless of being in top or mid. And then Gala and Ming, like LWX and Hong, aren't going to create some gigantic advantage there. So I think that, again, if you're looking to make a bet on this matchup, you most likely want to bet on RNG. I don't think that you're getting good odds, but like if I'm going to pick every single game this year and keep track of it in my sheet, I'm going to try to keep track of every bet. I'm going to try to keep track of every pick this year. I'm not sure how many I'll actually be able to get bets in on without opening a sportsbook overseas, or opening an account on a sportsbook. I'm not going to open up a sportsbook. I don't want to give out the picks in this video necessarily because I want to keep it for my Discord community. But like I get why people would think that OMG is a gigantic favorite. I probably want to take a look at the value there though with Thunder Talk, especially in the beginning of a season. I do think that Cream has the gigantic upside, but they don't necessarily need to outperform in every single game to do that. For DraftKings purposes, I definitely would prefer to get RNG and FPX into my roster as the primary stacks and then take the secondary team from the other match because I do think that FPX and RNG will have higher kill scores and maybe even a game stack. Like if both matches go 2-1, it's very possible that the RNG FPX match has losers that have a lot of kills. So that would be interesting, and that's the kind of way to get different on this kind of slate where you have a limited number of games, but a lot of competition in the form of mass multi-enterers, if that's a word. But that's basically it for this video. As time goes on, I'll probably have more in-depth stuff, but I need to see a couple of matches and see what the meta looks like before I can make wide sweeping statements about what's going on. I'll have a video like this every day where I go over the next day's games. If you want to get some access to my picks or pick my brain a little bit more, make sure to check out my Patreon and Discord. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that kind of good stuff. I'd really like to get to 1,000 subscribers this season, which is only 150 away, so it's definitely doable. But I feel like a lot of the people who watch this kind of content are already here. So I'm not sure how else to kind of drive up that number of people, but just something I have to kind of figure out. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.